Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is Travis Semulin Sours, and this is not your normal YouTube video. We've been invited to alpha test a new mode for stream raiders. So if you've been watching my stream or even the YouTube videos for some time, you've seen that I've used stream raiders as a fun thing to do between rounds in Magic. We'll place units, we'll fight a battle. Usually we win and we get some loot. This is a little bit more different, and it's more of an active way to play the game. So we're going to go into this dungeon and have 5 minutes for all of us to place units, strategize, and fight. If the unit that you place dies, you cannot place that unit again in the run. So if I place a warrior and my warrior dies, he's just dead. We don't get to access that warrior anymore. As we go through, we'll unlock different skills for our units. So it's kind of adding a roguelike element to this, and it plays a little bit like, I don't know, Darkest Dungeon or Slay the Spire. And the goal is to see how far through the dungeon you can go. We've gotten to level 8 so far. This is alpha gameplay, so things may change. There may be some bugs. We may bump into stuff like that as we're going. But consider this a preview of kind of a fun new way to play Stream Raiders. I think for me, I'm mostly looking at this as like a decompression game after I've lost a lot of rounds of Magic, or potentially something to do between rounds in a large tournament like the Sweatsuit Invitationals. So here's dungeon level 1, no decisions to make. We're just going to battle these shadow dudes. And this is the same battle that we've been struggling with over and over and over. But we're going to try our strategy again, which is basically fortify the sides and have mages wreck everything. All right, so I want to do no units here, no units here, no units here. We want armor, and use your mages if you got them. Mages do extra shadow damage. I'd really like to stack mages here and try to take this archer out first. Because this guy is basically buffing the entire team. 60% damage and 60% damage reduction this is for all of the ranged units. And these are all ranged units. So I kind of want to draw this guy in and just splat him with mages. And then we do need armored units to kind of tank, because it's all range damage, and armored gets bonus versus ranged. Like, more tanks is better. A couple healers sprinkled out wouldn't hurt. Yeah, same client, !SR to get in. All ranged units on the field? I mean, I don't think so. That seems like a Magic thing. I don't know for sure. But even if it does, it's more incentive for us to be spamming mages. Yeah, we're going to lose the first round for the YouTube video. But yeah, your unit cooldown is reduced, so you could get up to 3 units in. I can still only place 1. And so far, strategy has mattered in how to win these battles. This Shadow Flame Archer dude has kind of wrecked us a couple different times. That is a good idea, Orcish. I've got a notepad where I'm taking notes for feedback. It's an analog notebook. I'm writing them down. There's decisions too, like if we actually lose a bunch of mages here and then bump into this fight again later, we won't have them. And I can tell that it's scaling based on how many participants we're having. Because I think the first time I fired this up, this was our first battle, and it was basically this Shadow Flame Archer and 3 dudes. Like, it just fired up the stream with 7 viewers. So I'm not sure how they're telling that, but it does seem to scale based on how many people you have playing or watching. Flag bearers are always welcome. Sticking them near the mages would certainly be a good idea. I think the main thing we want to do is make sure we establish a line of armor here to protect this ranged force. So the main thing we're looking for is armor, and then particularly mages. Like, artillery is cool, but mages are what are going to do the damage here, right? Like, ignites fires and deals twice as much damage against shadow enemies, and all of these enemies are shadow. Yeah, shadow mage, shadow berserkers, shadow warriors. We just got to burn them all down. And I think this is the right call because we've tried positioning in the middle. That didn't work. The denied flank almost worked on the last one. But I think the original Stream Raiders game kind of scratched like a passive RPG itch. This is kind of getting, I've mentioned this a couple times on stream, but I'll mention it now since we're recording this for YouTube as well. Like way back in the day when all me and my buddies had for gaming was like no computers. I don't even think we had consoles yet. We had a couple of old D&D books. And occasionally we'd roll out a big poster board on the floor, draw trees and stuff on it, and then everybody would roll up an army to go fight. Like maybe I'd have 30 orcs and one of my buddies would have 30 elves, and we'd just roll dice and have these huge battles. This is kind of reminding me of that. Yeah, you've got to think carefully about what you want to place. Miklas, thank you for buying a Semulin Paladin skin. Y'all spam some cats for Miklas. Thank you very much. I guess this is a great time to be buying Stream Raiders skins, and it is a wonderful way to support the stream. So thank you very much, Miklas. All right, we should be ready for our first battle here in less than a minute. So last minute additions. We could probably use another mage up here. This area is just stacked with mages, so we're basically good to go in the south. But if we could consider maybe getting a few more mages in here, maybe a healer or two in the back would be nice. Just to try to keep this batch alive. The paladins are pretty good at, like, receiving heals. Thank you very much, Miklas. Yes, get rid of the big boss archer. We've tried doing that with assassins and it didn't work. We tried this last time and it almost worked. So let's see if it works here. If it doesn't, we're just in trouble. All right, so probably want the ranged unit boost for the heavy concentration of mages here. Let's see if this works. If we can take that thing out, we're fine. God, this is probably the hardest map, but he's down. Some of you had to die for us to achieve victory, but this is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. It came at great cost, but we won. We may have to employ different strategies and just force rogues through to get that one. We've got Adam with the kills, Dave with the assists, bones for everybody, and now we'll get to select our boon. So we can get support units grant 10% more healing, armored units receive 10% more healing, or explosive assassins have 25% more defense. It will somewhat, Musa, but remember, everybody's still got some units, and most of the mages lived. So I think we lost some armor, but that's okay, we can replace them. So what do we want here, chat? Would we rather have support units doing more healing, or, like, I've never picked any of this stuff for explosive assassins. I feel like the staves is probably the most useful. Yeah, 3 seems bad to me, because, like, you can't really replace these. Yeah, 1 seems just strictly better. So I guess this is just 1. All right, we've got the dinosaurs again. We know how to beat the dinosaurs. I have been told that flying rogues own on this map. So I think we want melee units and flying rogues in particular. So maybe we do A line of melee up front. And then specifically flying rogues. Yeah, it looks like everybody's getting their flying rogues out. What else would we need here? So the reason the flying rogues are good is they're able to take out all of these stupid snow trolls. Yeah, I think we would barely even need any tanks here. I think flying rogues are our key to victory. And then melee to kind of punish the goblins and these other melee dudes. Because if we put armored dudes down, the snow orcs are just going to cut through their armor. Like, there doesn't seem to be any reason to place tanks here. So I think flying rogues is where it's at. I also think support units are likely to get pretty murdered. Because there's a lot of these snow goblins going around. Of course, this has like 7 hit points. You can just kind of fart on it and it'll die. We've got 30 seconds to take this thing out. And it's armored, so the melee would be even better here. Stonehenge Druid! There you go. Get a good looking flying rogue. Thank you very much, Druid. Y'all spam some cats for Druid. Thank you for buying a Stream Raider skin. Monk should be pretty good too, yeah. Bombers might be good against the small assassins. Also true. Just because they're doing area damage. So, like, I wouldn't hate an idea of, like, a few bombers behind the melee dudes. This seems absolutely perfect to me when we get in a situation like we're playing in a tournament, we've won our first round, and it's going to be an hour until the next one starts. Why not just jam some dungeon runs? Or just end of the day, I need to decompress, get a couple in before we go. Because, like, I feel pretty motivated now to see if we can get to level 10. Do we just ignore this left side? Maybe we do. We just don't place anything there. Because we don't have enough units to, like, do everything. So maybe we just entirely ignore that. Yeah, the rewards seem a little weak. Exclamation point SR, and you can join in and play. It's free to play. Yeah, I think we spread out too thin if we do that. And the rewards don't seem very rewarding. Now, it's worth noting the only other way to get bones is through the versus stuff. And I didn't enjoy the versus stuff. So people that were, like, really committed to playing Stream Raiders with me were never going to get bones. So it's interesting that right now it's another way to do that. But it does feel like, and we still have, like, maybe the level 10 boss drops a huge chest full of goodies. And you just have to get to a certain point for the rewards to kick in. But you are getting a significant amount of bones to buy the rare skins. Yeah, the bone chests are good, and there's some unique skins that you can buy with them. The nightmare skins, I believe. Yeah, so maybe it seems like it's not good if you haven't used the bones before, and I can imagine a lot of my viewers haven't because we just haven't really done any of that. But they'll do some more, right, Jank? I just wasn't heavily invested in the versus side of the game. Champion skins, okay. No, skins don't add any value to the units, but they're cool. I like cosmetics in games. I'm kind of a sucker for cosmetics in games. It doesn't matter what game it is. I'm going to be interested in getting the cosmetics. It's just kind of how I roll. I think we're probably well set up here. I don't know that we can race down there and get those dino blocks before this starts, but I'm kind of interested in speed boosting this batch and seeing if we can. And then sort of letting this middle batch clean everything up here. All right, let's see if this will work. This is currently my plan. Because if we can take a couple of those dinos out before they hatch, we should be able to save some units, which I think adds value. Go get the dinosaurs. Go get them. Okay, we at least took 2 of them out. That's good news. So we're certainly going to win the fight. And I think that's minimizing some casualties. That toaster that shoots toast at people is still kind of breaking me. All right, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Snus with the hard carry. His toasts are huge. All right, so what do we want here? We've already got extra healing. We could get more healing. All units have 5% more defense. Our armored units deal 15% more damage. I don't need my armored units to deal more damage. I need everybody to not die. This seems like a super easy 3. I'm just grabbing that. We don't even have to discuss this. All right, so we're back into Retrolandia with this one. And we basically need to burn down these houses. So this looks like a job for predominantly melee again. There's really nothing that we would need a lot of tanks for. We might need a few tanks on this side, but not many. So I think ideally here we would do something like a couple of tanks here, but mostly melee dudes, because they really seem like the ones that are going to get the work done. So this is a starter would be fine. The pet shops count as ranged. So assassins could go burn the pet shops down, potentially, if we wanted to do like an assassin squad. Wouldn't be opposed to some ranged units as well. And obviously a couple support units here and there for these batches. This should probably be taken out by a very small group. You could probably, these are like low level too, right? Yeah, that's level 10, level 10, level 10, level 1. Actually, you probably don't even need it. Because this group should be able to finish them off afterwards if we get this fully supported. So just the question is, do we want to use any assassins to try to take out the pet shops? They'd have to go through all of this crap to get to them, so I'm not even sure that there's value there. But if you get to the end and have some extra units and want to drop some assassins here or there, that would be fine. What do you? How many do you have dead, Snus? The artillery cannon? It certainly could. That's why I wanted to have some armored units there. Maybe we try to get an assassin squad in to deal with them. Because the flying assassins can go over this crap, right? So what if we did like a small batch of flying assassins here and just have them, the idea is we go take out these if we can. I think that could work. Like, it's making me think strategically about Stream Raiders in a way that I just haven't before. Well, they should focus all ranged, right? It's just that they target support enemies and other flyers. So this counts as range, this counts as range. There's not any support enemies, right? Yeah, there's just melee enemies. The houses here say that they count as range. No, it does say support. You're right. So you're right. They're going to take out the houses. We may not be able to do anything against this. I think I was looking at the wrong section. So the pet shop is support. They're all support. So we're just going to get wrecked by those artillery cannons. All right. Again, some of you will have to die for us to achieve victory. But it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I believe we can still win. They conceivably could if they're fast enough. And everybody's taking 5% reduced damage. Said you're running out of units. How did you lose? Well, I guess, yeah, I guess you could be losing those. Let me know. That's something I'm interested in for this. Like, there's a possibility that certain players get locked out after a point, and I'm wondering if they should have some default units that you can always place. Or if that kind of defeats the purpose of it. But it would feel bad if, like, you're actively participating, we get on a long run, but all your units are dead. I guess you're probably still invested. Yeah, and I mean, Stream Raiders has always been a little challenging for newer players to get started because you kind of have to start with support units. But I think that makes some sense. Like, the newbies can play the clerics and flag bearers, and the experienced players can get in there and kill them. You can revive dead units with meat, but that's something you'd have to buy. You can use your common units at -5 levels if they're dead. That's something. You do get meat in bone chests sometimes. So, like, you could still sort of do it, but you'd really have to decide that. I don't remember ever being really flooded with meat. I just remember it's something you got now and then. So do we speed boost this side if I have it up, or curse the cannons? I guess it doesn't matter. We curse the cannons. Because I don't have the speed boost up. All right, let's see if we can do this. I'd like to at least get to level 6 for the YouTube video. Get him! Get him! I'm scared when those things shoot. Everything's working fine except for the get rid of those cannons strategy. That wasn't that bad. That actually wasn't that bad. As far as battles go, we got that one. All right, Rex with the kills, Jank Shank with the assists, and we have another boon selection. Swift Rogues, support units heal more, or armored units gain more healing. The Enchanted Hoods is essentially the same thing as the Enchanted Staves. We've already got a copy of Swift Souls. Oh, this is the enemy boons. These are ours. Duh. So we're about to go into a boss fight is what this is telling us. So what do we want here? We don't have anything then for the rogues. This is just increasing their speed. If the healing stacks, this would be pretty cool, right? Yeah, if they don't stack, they should certainly get rid of it from the options. I'm going to take the rogue one here. Like, in scenarios where rogues are good, having them be faster is better. Okay, we've done this battle before, and we managed to get it to work. I do think a 10-minute placement would be nice. Because, like, the way we did this before was just by making a sandwich, essentially. So I don't see why that couldn't work again. Which was basically armored units across the front and down here. You can intersperse those with melee units, and then just doing a big old stack of range damage. Like, this is essentially what we did before, and it worked fine. And then just healers throughout the back. Like, support units, support units, support units, support units. This worked before. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work again. But do try to get it where we've got, like, the tanks and melee units in this area. I think busters are just one use, because they die every time you place them. But we did play this map before, and basically just luring everything in here and pew-pew-pewing them worked. The artillery was pretty dang good. This thing does need to die, but it's AoE damage to nearby units, so you can basically lure it to you. Sorry about these guys. I think we're just going to need to let them die. We probably could have backed up even further, frankly. But I suppose this is better for the artillery, and it's okay to place your ranged units up close. They should keep you safe. But like I've heard that the other streamer that is experimenting with this has gotten to level 9, and we have not gotten to level 9 yet, and I would like to get to level 9. Frankly, I'd like to get to level 10 and see if there's any sort of reward thing there. Because that seems like it'd be kind of cool. Since we are in the alpha phase for this, any feedback you guys have is very welcome. And we've gotten a big old list of things that I think we would like. May as well go over this so far. We've noticed a couple bugs in that I'm not sure if it's a bug or just that they don't have enough boons yet, but some of the boons seem to be doing the same thing with different names. Occasionally there's a discrepancy between what you see on the map versus what I see on the map. I would like to see a graveyard where we could see who died in the battle, and maybe even a statistics things at the end of the run to see like who had the most kills, who died the most, that sort of thing, who made it almost the whole way. I kind of would like something more of a choice in the dungeon screen, because it's kind of just you click the monster, you go fight the monster. What if there were 2 or 3 different monsters and you could choose? Like, this one's going to be harder but gets you, rare boons, and this one's going to be a little bit easier. You could decide, do we want to try to power up in the early levels or go for a safe progress? Like, a little more decision or agency there would be nice. And I do think a minute of battle planning would be incredibly useful before you get started. Because otherwise you end up with, like, people need to be placing units very quickly, and you'll end up with some stuff that's kind of out of the way, like these dudes. We have started early in a couple of these, but I don't think it's the right call. Again, I suppose if you've got, 200 or 300 people participating, all of the spots would get filled up. But I think we're probably okay here. I'm not sure about the barbarian in the back, but let's see how that works out. It does look like we've got our tank and melee line set up and ready to go. We got some healers snuck in, some musketeers snuck in. That's a pretty great flag bearer. I like it. The range on this artillery is great. Like, they can start chonking early. These will have to spend some time moving. But yeah, I don't think we'll be starting early. Because, like, there's 50 seconds left, and if everybody places an extra unit, that would be quite beneficial. I mean, maybe that's not a bad idea, Urberg. Yeah, I suppose you never know what could happen in a scenario like this. We've got to figure out a better strategy for that shadow one. Maybe the trick is to place in the middle and try to charge that thing down. Because it seems like if you can kill the shadow archer, the rest of the level's not that bad. But if you can't, you're going to get ragged. I'm going to do high ground and try to let these artillery carry us a little bit. All right, so let's do high ground and try to catch as much of the artillery units as we can, and go. We are taking some losses, but I think we're going to get them. That's what I'm thinking, Oberg. That's what I'm thinking. You do begin to run out of tanks at a certain point, don't you? Because I think there's a possibility I lose my tank here. Well, I don't know. Those healers are actually putting in some work. Yeah, the upgraded healing is keeping him alive. Yeah, just one little healing globe solves all of those problems. We got this one handily. A victory for Upfish. Weird Gus and not Marvin doing the heavy lifting. Bones for all of you and another boon for us. All right, so we've got assassin damage, which I don't like because it's explosive damage. Melee units have more defense. I mean, as long as this stacks, our melee units would have 20% defense. And this just seems actively worse than enchanted staff, so I think heavy padding is what we want here. I'll probably do some magic this afternoon, but we're alpha testing this for Stream Raiders and having a lot of fun with it currently. So we did this one before too and had some success by basically not placing anything up top. So I think we're going to try to replicate that. Like just building entirely from the bottom and building lines of predominantly melee, right? Because we've got ranged dudes, and were these armored? No, these are other meleeers. And then the scarabs are armored. Yeah, so this is just a melee fighter's dream. So we actually wouldn't really want tanks on this so much. We would want melee dudes. So your barbarians, your berserkers, yeah, even your good old-fashioned warriors. And like they'll form the main line. And then ideally after that we can put in some support units, predominantly healers. They have enough ranged stuff. Well, not a lot of support stuff, huh? I guess the tanks could be good against this range stuff. Yeah, so maybe intersperse some tanks in these batches. Makes some sense. I think we have enough people to try both sides, but if we have to, we could just go here. Maybe we fill this one up first. Like we just completely jam everybody into this corner. Because that's where the boss is, too. Healing printer goes burr. I can appreciate that. I enjoyed the levels more that looked like actual dungeons. There were some that had like some corridors and stuff you had to pass through. I thought that was interesting too. All right, I need a quick potty break. I'll be right back, folks. All right, sorry for the long break, but I return. Yeah, I told him about that, Drac. And it looks like we've got, what, 90 of us now? And perhaps the denied flank is the strategy of choice here. Really want to get to level 10. I'm curious if there's like cool rewards for hitting level 10 or whatever. But this should concentrate our forces and hopefully minimize our losses. I'm wondering about the balance of playing healers too. Like that could be interesting. All right. So the best thing we have is the curse. We should probably use that because I don't really need the speed boost. Let's just curse the boss and see if we can get this done. A lot of support units. I guess people are running out of the other units to place. All right, boss is down, we're going to win, so it's about maximizing who we have left at the end. God, maps with enemy busters are terrifying. This doesn't look too bad, though. Yeah, our strategy seemed to be too strong. Good for us. Adam with the kills, Port Authority with the assists. And another boon for us. All units gain 5% more healing. Armored units gain 10% more healing. I feel like we'd rather just have this for everybody. Yeah, that was a pretty good battle for us. We didn't lose that many. So this just seems like, again, a no-brainer. I think the boons is the thing they need the most tweaking with currently, because it seems like some of them are just obviously better than the others. All right, so we know how this one works. We don't want to let any of their pawns get into this area, and we would definitely like to make sure that we capture these cards. So generally speaking, what we would want is somebody to place a rogue that will just run down and grab it. We need exactly 2 rogues on this map to run down and grab those. We don't want a lot of ranged units that will shoot these cards, and we do want to defend these areas. So this is a defense zone. Your dudes are going to stay here, but like, as long as that artillery isn't in range of the cards, that's actually brilliant. So I'm going to defend this artillery. But like, the main thing is to make sure you're not putting ranged units that will shoot these, and that somebody puts a rogue down here. Exactly 1. This will do it. So Dave's rogue runs down here and smacks that. Anybody you place near these dice will potentially get buffed. So we could again put something like ranged units back here and tanks here to back them off. I feel like a battle plan on this one is somewhat not useful. But there's a lot of these dudes down here. Yeah, that artillery should be hot. And this would buff the artillery. We'll need a tank here or something to protect them. Or I guess the plan would be this batch is just going to run down and protect them. This is kind of a fun little map. But these pools, if any of the pawns get to here, we're in trouble. Yeah, artillery on purple looks great. Long shot archers could potentially be good too. Yeah, we've got 2 rogues. We probably don't need any more rogues because I don't think they're terribly effective against most of this, right? Like, these are mostly melee dudes. Melee dudes. These were essentially melee assassins. Yeah, this is almost all melee dudes. With a few supporters. We don't have any boons for the enemy team, so I think we'll be able to do this one, especially with the artillery placed like that. Just make sure you do have a little defense with them, and if anybody has some artillery to go over here, I think it'd be useful too. So like, maybe the last thing we're looking for is like a tank for this spot, a tank for this side. And we've already got a tank there. I wouldn't mind melee dudes and tanks to kind of form our front line here. But yeah, I think this is Artillery Palooza. We've got a Berserker. This is probably enough rogues. Because we do want to make sure we've actually got, like, tanky dudes to come down here and hold the line in front. After enough time passes, the dudes on the purple will move. Otherwise, they'll just stand still. So, like, my tank is just going to stand here in case anything gets close to these artilleries. Because this is what's winning us the game, is the artilleries. Like, these musketeers may have some shots, but the artillery... Look at the range on these things. They're going to do the heavy lifting. I feel like we can win this battle pretty handily. Do get us a couple dudes up here like melee and tanky dudes up here. I think we would also like. And they take advantage of the dice. So putting some dudes in range of the dice would kind of be nice in case we hit. Yeah, we've got musketeers next to the artillery, so don't worry. I think we got this one. I have a new strategy the next time we bump into that shadow archer. I'm envisioning an armor sandwich in the middle facing down, with mages to just burn through that dude. I think we can make that happen. I hope we don't lose any of our artillery here. That's the other thing that this is just adding tension to, is like any units that we lose, we're not going to have for later rounds. Mel, what's up?
I don't know what this game is, but it looks super cute, so I'm in.
Thank you for the resub. Y'all spam some cats for Mel. So we're actually alpha testing a new mode of Stream Raiders. The normal mode is every 30 minutes there's a battle, you can place units. We usually win, and it's kind of like a passive RPG thing. Not a lot of strategy, not a lot of thinking. Just place your units, win some stuff. This is their new dungeon mode, which we are alpha testing today. And it is requiring strategy to win, unlike the other game I play, which is basically competitive coin flipping. But exclamation point SR if you'd like to play. It's free, and we're going to see how deep we can go in this dungeon. So far, our record is level 8. The other streamer who is previewing this today got to level 9, and I'm kind of jelly. So I think this is pretty obviously, as long as high ground is off cooldown, we just plop it on these artillery, right? Like, buffs range fire rates by 100%. Yeah, that seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. All right, let's see what we can do here. I have not played Loop Hero. I've heard good things about it, though. There's actually another little game I want to show off called Legend of the Keepers, and I may try that tomorrow. I had some fun with that. Look at this artillery chonk. Who'd have thought doubling the fire rate of artillery would be this good? These guys don't stand a chance. Heavy lifting artillery. Simwife's bomber putting in some work too. And that's what the tanks were for, just that last little push. Easy peasy. Overdue with the kills, Jank Shank with the assists, bones for everybody. Our power grows. Our enemy's power is growing too. We're about to go into basically a boss fight. God, the iron plating is terrifying on the enemies because they don't care how many of their people die. Right? Like, that's scary. I guess we'll do fire rate increased. It looks like these do the same thing. I'm still not sure if that's a bug or if they just don't have enough boons designed yet. But sure, let's buff our ranged units too. I'm kind of scared of going into this fight. All right, we got 5 minutes. We need to take out the builder. We need to take out all of the house foundations. These are level 40 house foundations. If he finishes these, they're probably going to kill us. What's even good here? All right, we're going to have to make a plan. I imagine artillery will still be good. I could do the unthinkable and sacrifice my buster. But we seem to do better when I'm tanking. At least that keeps us alive. But the tanks aren't even good against any of this. Yeah, this is a monk world. So I'm guessing stacking in a corner is still probably our best bet. And the wall, like, melee seems to be the way to go here, right? Because they've got armored dudes and melee dudes, so they would chew through our own armor. So things like monks and melee dudes is probably what we want here. What is this guy? He's melee as well. Assassins could creep up and take these out, right? Because this is support. So maybe we also want a small rogue squad over here to try to clip these buildings before he can even get close. They're probably going to die, but if they take out any buildings, that's pretty huge. So let's make sure we're defending our artillery pieces predominantly on this side. Oh man, this is an INTJ's dream. Get to orchestrate the battle. I still feel like we predominantly want melee dudes. Like, a couple of tanks aren't bad, but predominantly melee dudes. And I would love some support units back with these artilleries, if we can fit them in. How do we feel about a rogue squad over here to take out these houses? Or is the idea that, like, this group's just going to do it naturally? Because this group will need a little bit of help too. They're at the very least going to need a small melee front here. You can use the legendary units very often, which is pretty cool. I don't think we need the rogues. Although I'm kind of terrified if one of these gets repaired. That's an interesting thought, Port. And like, I think the rewards for this will need to be balanced. But like, I like the idea that you level up your units in regular Stream Raiders, kind of passively playing, and then you can use them in this and kind of show off what you've done. Right? Like, it kind of felt like it didn't matter that much. I'm about to sneeze. Pardon me while I sneeze. You don't get scrolls in this mode. You do get bones. The only other way to get bones is through PvP. The bones you can trade in for bone chests, which will have scrolls and gold in them. They're not available in the store now, but again, we're alpha previewing this, so you'll get to use the bones you're getting today. You just can't use them right now. Are you guys getting scrolls placing non-legendary units here? Like, whether it didn't feel like it really mattered that much whether I had a level 30 tank in some of the larger battles, but it actively seems to matter here. Yes, this is a very good release of Steam after a few land floods and Magic for sure. I don't think you're likely to be able to hit it through what we're doing today. Because I think I'm just going to do this until probably 4 is the latest I can go. And I would like to do a draft today. Bone cap was removed. Okay, cool. This is the coolest skin I've seen in here. Like, this is a flying toaster that shoots bread. How is that not amazing? $700 bones? Okay. You ain't, if they up the cap to 700, I think you're going to be fine, because you ain't getting 700 bones out of this today. I'm still concerned about these houses, but I think this is the right angle of attack. God, there's 100 of us, and this is still getting hard. I like that it's scaling in difficulty quickly, meaning that you don't have like 5 levels to grind through that are just easy. I'm sorry, Orcish. Go buy some chests, dude. That's kind of what I'm getting to, Jim, but this isn't something I could do while I'm playing Magic. I think if you're playing this, you're playing this. But at the end of the day, to release some steam or while we're on break in a tournament, this seems incredibly good to me. All right, so I think my plan is to haste this batch and see if we can get that dude before they're all recovered. It's almost not worth it though, is it? Like, maybe we just curse him? It doesn't even slow him down. I wish we had like a slow one, but we don't. All right, that means it's just haste on this back group then. Let them get into range and do their thing. All right, go team. I could see playing this for 8 hours, Jim. Frankly. Like, I'm enjoying it. And do level 40 buildings spawn level 40 dudes? They do not. That's good news. Yeah, it seems like a more active version of the game. Are we okay? The hammer dude's down, so he can't repair the other foundations. I think we're gonna make it. There has been some cost, but we will win. Oh no, I lost my monk. No more monks for me. Well, he's not repairing houses, right? Which was our big concern. It is kind of cool to hear the music too. Yeah, so now we just burn down the houses and we're good to go. A victory for Upfish. Adams with the kills, Chris with the assists, bones for all of you, and a boon for us. So this is as far as we've gotten. Melee units deal 15% more damage. Rogues and flying rogue attack speed is increased. I mean, this is buffing the snot out of our melee units. But this is our big round. I'm kind of wondering if we consider this now and just like put in some busters. Like maybe that's the trick to push through to level 10 is just be like, screw it, we're going to drop some sim chairs and blow them up. I'm not quite ready to pull that off yet. Okay, we at least know how to do this one. We could win this. We could win this. So the trick here is we have to take out these towers. If we can convert the towers, we can win the game. Right? So what I want to do, I'm going to actually place a tank unit because sadly my monk is dead. But we're going to need to tank these big batches. But for the battle planning, each of these towers needs a tank and a rogue. It's a lot more towers than last time. But we need a tank up front to take the hits, and then a rogue to burn it down. The rogues will target the towers if you place them right on top of them. I think they do. We know, so we can do it with rogues or we can do it with ranged units. But you have to have a tank in front of every one. And then we're also going to need a line to kind of keep these dudes hemmed in. These are armored and melee, right? These are all armored. Yeah, these are all armored. So like a line of melee dudes would hem this in nicely on both sides. So make sure every single one of these towers has a tank and or rogue, and we can take them out. And then after that, we want melee dudes here. And I think we'd probably want some melee dudes on this side too, right? To maybe catch them. Yeah, this is all armored stuff. So the melee guys are great. And we just got all the buffs for the melee guys. You know, I guess you would actually place them here. So they could potentially be in range of the buffs from the dice. Let's consider that. So this is a lot of melee dudes. And then just if you have support units to plurp behind them too, that's fine. The enemies are getting higher leveled and it is getting harder. But if we can beat this, we'll have gotten as far as we've gotten in the dungeons. Yeah, and you can get some meat as a reward, so it's not the end of the world. And it does seem like only placing 3 units, like, how many units are there in Stream Raiders? I can't see them now, but it feels like it would be difficult to run through your entire roster if, like, dungeon level 10 is close to end game. So I suppose you could if you literally had 3 people die every fight, but you should still have something to be able to place. All right, it looks like the forces for taking down the towers are well equipped. So let's make sure we hem these dudes in. We have not 9'd yet. So this is a key battle for us. Because I really want to get to level 10. Which means we have to get to 9 and then beat 9. Yeah, ideally we would have a tank on each of these, but like a high level rogue can probably just take it out on its own. Xander, thank you for the resub, man. Y'all spam some cats for Xander. I hope things are going well in your world, my friend. I guess we're kind of hoping those dice hit melee, because otherwise we could be in a bit of trouble. I think the towers are covered, though, because even if one of them doesn't fall, everybody else can go get them. So let's focus on this last batch and getting some melee dudes up top and on the bottom. I'd like to try to keep these things hemmed in. Because if we can basically stall them, the towers will take everything out. And these dudes are all armored, so the melee dudes are going to do like quadruple damage to them. So warriors, berserkers, barbarians would all be quite good here. That's a cool looking skin. What is that? I don't know what it's referencing, but I like the gold color. Got a little war base down here. That might could use some help, because I'm concerned that this batch will just run over here and kill all of our dudes. All right, we got less than a minute. If you can get your last unit in, this is a good spot to do it. Just want to hit level 10. Ideally, we'll push further. It'd be neat to hit level 10, wouldn't it? All right, 30 seconds. Anything you can place is useful now. Just remember, if it dies, you can't place it again, like my poor monk. There you go, Epic Berserker. It was worth the wait. This is why you don't start these early. Bottom left could use a little bit of help. All right, that's it. We did it. All right, I'm going to call Killing Field here, because it looks like we've got enough barbarians that are melee dudes we could actually pull that off. All right, this all comes down to whether we take the towers or not, and I think we've got the units to do that. Because as long as those rogues convert the towers relatively quickly, which they did, we should be able to win this. I think we're going to get to see level 9. Yeah, they can bring the towers back, which is why it's so important to capture them early and have them firing on the opponent. Easy peasy. My favorite person, Simwife with the kills, Richard with the assists, and we're going to see level 9. Nice. All right, so armored units deal more damage. All units deal more damage. Ranged units' fire rate is increased. Yeah, we didn't even have that heavy losses, which is good. Chat, what do you think? I feel like we want damage up. Because armored units aren't even really supposed to deal that much damage. But once we take this, when we've got melee units having more defense and damage, this is like upping their damage by 20%. Yeah, I think I like number 2. No, we have no idea what we're getting into, so fair enough. We don't know what's going to be good. This is good everywhere. Okay, this is probably another melee-centric battle, which would be good. All right. So this is, I actually really like this one because it does feel like a dungeon. And this is another incredibly melee-heavy fight. Like, look at what melee's good against. So your berserkers, your barbarians, your warriors are all really good here. So what I want to do is have a party of melee in the front going into every entrance here. No tanks, we don't need them. Melee everywhere. Well, not there, actually. We're going to have melee covering every possible flank of this entrance. Monks are fine, too. They basically count as melee as far as I'm concerned. They have all these melee dudes going in. You can put support characters behind them, like monks, flag bearers. They don't need a lot. Because melee should be good enough to carry this, and we can see our first level 10. A couple range dudes wouldn't hurt, just so you can shoot over them. These frogs are weak to assassins, but I don't think I even want to bother with that. I think the melee dudes can take them out just fine. So once we've got all of the melee in place, if you want to drop monks in the back, healers in the back, or a couple range dudes in the back, that's fine. Flag bearers are fine too. But I want to make sure we've got all of the entryways covered with melee dudes. So again, that's mostly warriors, barbarians, and berserkers. Artillery are never going to be bad. Yeah, like our healing is going to be down, so the healers aren't even really that great either. As far as I know, it goes to infinite, Rob. This is as far as we've ever gotten. So as far as I know, it's as far as anyone's ever gotten. There's only 2 people that can play it right now. And yes, John, I think I'm 100% doing this until 4 today. It would not surprise me. So yeah, heals may not even be worth it with the froggies here. We just want to go in and melee them to death. But I guess any ranged units outside of that would certainly be welcome. So I guess you don't even really want healers here. You just want flag bearers, melee, and ranged. You should still have your warrior though, right, Jank? And monks are more or less melee. Like, they're close enough, right? It's kind of cool seeing all the skins people have, too. Like, this is our healer. We've got a turd throwing toilet paper. No, this is a flag bearer. Okay. That's something you could do. We've got this cool looking Badland monk. We've got some monks over here. I don't even know what this guy is trying to do. Is that a cat with a cigarette? I mean, this skin is obviously just gorgeous. It's kind of a goofy head skin. I dig it. Stream Raiders flag bearer. Heck yeah. I would prefer not to spam cigarette cats. I spent nearly 20 years smoking a pack a day, and that was quitting smoking was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I would not have been able to do it without SimWife. So I would strongly encourage anyone who is thinking about starting a cigarette habit to reconsider that. It is incredibly addictive and destructive. Drink a glass of water. Go for a run. This does make me feel like I'm diving deeper into the game and thinking about which units counter which strategies. Because again, like, let's say we had this battle in normal Stream Raiders. It's not that big a deal. You just spam your units, you'll probably win. But this makes the rock, paper, scissors aspect of the gameplay a little more important. Bottom left could use some help, yeah. But there's also less enemies there. So, like, if they don't get completely fixed, it's okay. And we've got time. I think we're going to be able to do this. If Killing Field isn't on cooldown, which it is, dang it, this would have been a really good map to have Killing Field open. I guess I could just curse this whole batch. I could also conceivably haste this batch, but there's not really that many of them. So I think Killing Field would have been better, but a curse here on this whole batch seems like it would be useful. I think we can get to level 10 here. All right, let's find out. Oh, it's such a tiny curse. That's okay. We're still going to get a bunch of them with it. I think we're okay here, because they're all weak to melee. And we've got all these melee buffs. You can do it. Top left is a little weak. We may have some fatalities over there. This map is actually huge. It's so scaled out, it's difficult to tell. All right, so this victory came at a cost, but we made it to level 10. Yeah, artillery's OP. Just straight up OP. Me with the kills, Grumpy Ajani with the assists. Bones for everybody. Boons for us. Explosive Assassin, armored units gain 10% more healing. I'm going to take the volatile fuse. We're about to go to level 10, and this may be a spot where it's time for us to use some of our busters. I know you can only use them once, but if it's to beat level 10, isn't that worth it? Oh my goodness, look at all these orcs. There's so freaking many of them. How do you even start? Well, I know we're all going to want to use our orc slayers if we have them. If you got orc slayers, this seems like a pretty good map for them. All right, and they're predominantly on melee units, ranged units. This is almost all melee. Yeah, first up I would play Orc Slayers. Like, these things are just great, right? They deal extra damage to orcs. We would want that. I also think the bombs could be good here. So if you have some bombers that you can send into these big clumps, we just got them extra damage. This is a great time to be using them. But again, remember the idea. You want your tanky units, whether it's Orc Slayers or just regular tanks, or even melee dudes should still be fine here, because there's a lot of armored units, and melee is good versus armor. So I think I would be still just spamming melee if you have them. Busters and bombers, both. Just anything that can do area damage. Frankly, even mages would be okay. Because I think the idea is we've got to basically defeat these two batches on the side and then march up into this afterwards. Because this is a defensive zone. These are all just going to sit here. Yeah, the busters look like bombers, but we'll see what we can do here. That's actually a decent spot for an artillery, because it should have range of most of the battlefield, and we know nothing's walking down here. But I guess from here, what I'd like to see is a few more melee units in this area, a few more melee units in this area. We're going to need ranged damage behind them. Something like this. Artillery really seems overpowered, so we might could get some work done with that. The mages are kind of like bad artillery if your artillery died for this map. And Orc Slayers. If you've got Orc Slayers and haven't used them, this is the map for you. I like seeing all these Orc Slayers here. This is good. Orc Slayer. Orc Slayer. Orc Slayer. Orc Slayer. Is that another one behind it? Yes, another Orc Slayer. Another epic Orc Slayer. There's just Orc Slayers everywhere. Where's their mage? Well, this one's a little bit too far back, but it's okay. He can move. Like, there's going to be some units that are out of place. That's not the end of the world. I'm curious how these upgraded busters do. I like these artillery here. Do we kind of want, like, do they need defense? Ideally, they're going to be safe, but I'm not sure how the pathing's going to work. I guess this one paladin can kind of sort of defend them. We got the Dorito in the corner. Oh, I'm nervous. I want to win level 10. I feel like there should, based on my experience so far, there should be pretty good rewards for beating level 10. I doubt that there are, but again, that's kind of the point of the alpha. All right, we got 1 minute. Last minute additions could be ranged units here. There's a decent amount of melee up here, right? These spearmen are melee? Yeah, so we could take them down with ranged. Yeah, that's what we've seen so far. Ranged would be the last thing we would want, and maybe a few healers. For each of these batches could use a healer or two. Because just keeping dudes alive is worthwhile at this point. Like, the permadeath is going to start affecting who can place what units. Like, we may get into a point where we have a battle that's tank-centric, and we don't have enough tanks. Like, just as an example, if we bump into that Shadow Flame dude again, and we don't have any tanks, we could be in trouble. All right, 40 seconds. I'm also just very curious to see what these busters do, because we just upgraded those. So, like, what is the level 16 buster going to do? What's the dove with the olive branch to the left? I think that's a healer. Yeah, that's a healer skin. All of my skins just got cats on them. We got any Semulin skins in the wild here? Always worth looking for. I don't see a lot of them on this map. Ah, there's one. The Bolus Monk. Okay, so what's our plan here? These guys count as melee, right? No, they count as armored. So maybe we just fortify this batch that's going to get slammed. Or maybe it's more useful over here. I don't know. I think setting up a solid defense here and making sure we at least win this flank is the way to go. Let's see what we can do. Level 10. Go, go. Okay, the upgraded busters are doing some work. God, there's just so many of them. It still only counts as one. God, if we get this, we're going to be hurting for units. My Troll Slayer died, or Orc Slayer, but that's okay. Somebody else will have Orc Slayers. We lost another Slayer. We may have hit the turning point. It's going well, but we're losing a lot of our troops, which does not bode well for future attempts. But it doesn't matter. We made it to level 10. And you know, new people tuning in is also good because they'll have some of the troops we're missing. All right, we've passed the turning point. We're certainly going to win the battle. Now it's just how much casualties are we going to take. Yeah, the artillery is actually kind of good. I do think nearly everyone lost their Orc Slayer, though, except for Thunder Dan. Yeah, artillery is good seems to be the name of the game. So perhaps everyone should be placing an artillery along with some other stuff. All right, Techno Shaman with the kills, Banan with the assists, and we are on to level 11. Did yours live too, Snus? Nice. All right, Rogues, attack speed increased, armored units gain healing, armored units deal more damage. I think I'm finally ready to take armored units deal more damage. Oh, okay. Yours was the last epic. Okay. Because we've already got a buff for these dudes, and it's their speed. And we've got damage for everybody. So let's get this going. And say hello to level 11. All right, we fought this one before, although this is certainly a tougher version of it. You cannot walk through these black lines. Oh, so before we did it with rogues doing the flanks, but there's too freaking many of them now. I'm not actually sure how to beat this. I have a theory, though. I have a theory that if we spam some artillery in the middle and make an artillery sandwich, we can probably pull this off. So I think I want to put artillery and protect them. That could work, too, doing artillery in the corner here. But let's try something like an artillery sandwich. We get strong artillery here. We can set one up here too. That works. And then we just defend the snot out of it. So armored and or melee dudes just basically holding this. Feel free to place melee dudes as well. Something like this. And then sprinkle some support units in. But if you're watching, feel free to drop melee units in between these. But we're going to try to spam the artillery. If you've got an artillery left, drop it. We could also go for maybe a musketeer or two in the middle of them to buff their power. And I'll put a high ground here. We're going to splatter crap. Yeah, if your melee's dead, place tanky units. That's fine. Hey, if we solve the meta and get to push forward, that's great. We might need a few tanks on the background here too. Or melee or whatever. Like, it's fine. Like maybe a line here of defense. And the more we can clump these artillery up, the more likely I am to be able to hit multiples of them with a high ground and double their fire rate. This is looking kind of busted. Yes, we've built an artillery sandwich. So just make sure everybody that put artillery in also helps defend the artillery. Because currently this flank is weak. These two lines are not going to hold. But this is a delightful artillery sandwich. So I think the artillery part of the sandwich is good to go. Now we just need the tanky / melee bread. I don't hate the bombers either. They're fine. Anything that's dealing area damage. But I do want to make sure we get enough tanks in here. Everything is a sandwich. We've established that previously. And we're just going to ignore this stuff. It'll come to us. It's got to walk through all this artillery stuff. What's up, Andy? All right, enough with the artillery. Play some tanks, guys and gals. We need some tanks. We are alpha testing a new game mode in Stream Raiders, and so far I really like it. This is as high as we've gotten. As far as I know, it's as high as anyone has gotten. Also, I checked out some of your content from TikTok that you had posted on Twitter, Andy, and it was actually quite hilarious. If you guys are looking for a laugh, go check out Andy's Twitter. It's pretty good. No paladins? Like, remember, you can use your epic units too. You could jam in a War Beast. You could even use an Orc Slayer here. It's not the best, but it's an armored unit. Like, I suspect there's still something we could place in here for a damage sponge, and that's what we need to find. Like, even a monk wouldn't be the worst. I just want to make sure we're keeping this artillery batch alive, because provided we are, I think we win this. All right, 1 minute. Last unit placement coming in now. I see everybody placed in artillery. This is good news. Let's see if we figured it out, and the secret is just always place all of the artillery that you can. Not going to say I'd be sad if that's it. I do think taking advantage of placing the legendary units as often as possible is a big part of the strategy here. All right, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm definitely jamming high ground on all of this artillery. All right, let's see if this works, because this looks pretty stupid. That is an insane amount of artillery. Look at that. I think we figured it out, yo. The problem is we may get through and nobody has anything left but artillery. Because we are going to need a few non-artillery units, but this is working. We did lose our side artilleries, but the sandwich artilleries held the line. I think it was worth it. I think we had 3 artilleries up there. I'm so glad Buttspot is now a valued member of our community. Heck yeah. Level 11 down. This is farthest, as far as I know, anyone has ever been. Rex with the kills, Cowboy with the assists, bones for everybody, and a boon for us. How far can we go? So more damage for melee units, or fire rate for ranged units. Well, given that we know the new strategy, I'm going to take the fire rate for ranged units. because we're going to be making hopefully some more artillery sandwiches. All right, so we've got a Shadow Flame tank. So we need to kill this, but it's in the middle and we're not likely to be able to do that. So does that mean we just do another artillery sandwich? I think we do another artillery sandwich and then defend the snot out of it. And I think I want it up here because that lets us clear the most of them out the fastest. So, all right, folks, artillery sandwich goes here. I think most of their units are either support. No, they've got some level 40 dudes here. So we kind of need to alternate tanks and melee. But use this as a general guideline. But feel free to put tanks and melee in there. And then obviously some support dudes in the middle would be very welcome. These are shadow dudes, so mages would be quite good too. If you've got high-level mages, I see a couple of these. Yeah, you're right. So mages and Templars would be good. So Templars right here on the second rank, I think would be best. So Templars on the second rank would be quite nice. And mages up here in this batch of sandwich would be good too. The challenge is their range isn't quite as good, but there's a lot of shadow dudes here as well. So I think this is the plan. I imagine the rogues aren't going to hurt. But melee is also really adept at chewing through this, and we've got a bunch of damage boosts on melee. So these are well-placed Templars. Even low-level Templars will do some work here. That means you can fill in the other areas. Dig deep. See what you've got left in the tank, and if we can make it past level 12. Because I don't think there's a realistic way for us to have two fronts here. I see a couple people trying, and like that's fine. But I think our best bet is still to make the sandwich up here. Because I have a suspicion that these guys are just going to die, right? Because like ideally we'd charge in here and kill this Shadow Flame tank, but I don't think that's happening. Yeah, realistically, we probably want the rest of this to be melee if you have any of it left. Which you may not. No, not don't place. I just wanted to erase it. Something like this might be our best bet. The first ever meta is artillery sandwich. I mean, if it works... All right, we got 2 minutes and we do not have enough damage shields. So no more artillery. Artillery is covered. We got enough artillery and mages. What we need now is melee dudes. Warriors, tanks, barbarians, anything is fine in this area. We just got to keep these dudes and dudettes alive. Because this is quite the artillery sandwich. We've also got some decent healers in here. Like this healer will keep these tanks going for a long time. Yeah, we've got healers for the front line. I think we're actually covered there. Right? Because like there's a healer every couple of spaces. But I think we just need more of a front line. A healer highlight would be quite neat. I'll give you that. There's so many of them. I think we should be getting to where all of you can place your third unit now. And that would be the trick. Just fill in this melee front line / tank front line. These boost their damage to undead, but we don't have any undead. Although, frankly, 70% damage boost to nearby allies is terrifying. And again, I have concerns about our operation down here, but we'll see. I just want to see the artillery sandwich again. It was so satisfying. All right, 40 seconds. And that's just enough time to fill in this line if we can. These war beasts should be quite helpful too. I like the mix of Centurions into other armored units. We've basically got everybody covered with an armor buff. Some of them covered with multiple armor buffs. I don't think I can spam high ground again. So I wonder if the answer then would be to put a fortification on the tanks just to make sure they hold. I don't know if they stack, and I didn't really care to look earlier, but now I'm starting to get more interested in that. I think just fortifying this corner is probably our way to go. Because we need this artillery to survive. So let's do this. Armor buffs do not stack. Okay, so it's a little bit of wasted overlap. Go artillery sandwich. I mean, it's still gunning them down. Artillery sandwich may be the way. I mean, they did some work. But I think the real work is being put in by the artillery. Look at this. I think we found it. Nicholas, thank you for the bits. Pew 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 indeed. We took some heavy casualties in this one, but now that we found the elite meta strat, we might just be fine. So the question now is, how far can we go? I would like to know. The skeleton healers are doing some work in the back, but it doesn't matter. This is too much artillery. We're not going to have any tanks or melee left by the end of this, though. Which is a little scary. But we got it. We got it. Wes and Foul with the kills and assists. More bones for us. Artillery salad? I hope not. Ranged units fire rate is increased. I mean, this seems good given what we've been doing. This is more artillery shots. So my guess is we're going to build another artillery sandwich. The question is where? Oh my god, look at this. And all these buildings for this dude to put together? I think we build an artillery sandwich right here. I've still got a tank left, so I'm going to be filling that role. But this area would be the sandwich of artillery. Generally speaking, we're going to want melee mostly rather than armor. But if all you got is armor, then all you've got is armor. It's fine. We would do a line of melee here, a line of melee and or tanks here, and see what we can do with this. If we get more, we can set up another sandwich. Like, I wouldn't hate another sandwich on this side, and I see a little rogue plan to go knock some of these out. Artillery printer go burr indeed. And some support units certainly wouldn't be bad either. Again, feel free to put armored units in these spots too. That's a lot of artillery. Maybe my next skin can be an artillery sandwich. A catapult that lobs sandwiches. Well, the problem is like we're taking losses on the tanks and everything else is sticking. So I think we're depending on new units to get here to make this work. This is 56 of us. I think we could probably do another sandwich on the other side. But I want to get this one completely filled in. And it looks like it's really the melee units that are lacking / tanks. Because this is enough artillery. I think we've got that covered, right? Like we got musketeers, we got healers mixed in. That's another musketeer. This stuff is just doing tons of damage. We've got healers here. So let's get this front line covered and make sure that we can defend them. I don't even hate 2 rows of tank / melee. Yeah, this is the farthest, as far as I know, that anyone's ever gotten. I don't know if CB got this far or not. And I'm not even that scared of the houses, because it's a level 40 house, but it wasn't pumping out level 40 enemies. Yeah, we've got 3 minutes. That's enough time to completely sandwich this area. There you go. There's a tank. And we could maybe distribute some healers behind the tanks with the idea of let's keep the dang things alive. It looks like a chocolate centurion. Chocolate centurion. Yeah, so monks are pretty decent at doing healing, right? Yeah, it also wouldn't be insane to drop a buster here and there, because we got the extra damage on the busters. So if you've got some leftover stuff and just want to drop a buster here or there, there's nothing ranged to stop them. So they can just roll in and do some damage. So if you got a couple chairs to roll out, this is not a bad spot for them. I think we'll have high ground up again. So we can do that. See, there's a chair buster. Good old sim chair. And we did get the damage bonus for them, so that should be somewhat effective too. All right, we're down to the last minute. If you've got units that can fill in this front line or support units for the back line, that's very welcome. If you don't, dropping your busters over here could be quite useful. And if you've got rogues that you don't think you're going to want to use later, they could at least take this stuff out, which would be useful. Because like I think we got a little suicide squad going over here, and it's predominantly these rogues that are going to try to gobble this stuff up, which is certainly useful. Yeah, here's a good place buster too. All right, under a minute. I think the last thing we could kind of, like, this is all filled. So anything else that you could put down here, we could make kind of a secondary line of like tanks, melee units. Flag bearers here are a great idea. Musketeers are a great idea. Just anything to boost artillery damage. Our alpha test window ends at 4. And I initially thought I might play this for a couple hours and then do some drafts, but this is fun. If that means your warrior has died. If your unit dies, you can't replace it. What's up, J2OP? Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Far more than I thought I would. And I was already pretty excited about it. So high ground is up. I'm just going to plop this on the artillery. And we're going to see if we can abuse this all the way to level 15. They're charging their fireball. I didn't get a good look at the busters. How did the busters do? It's been really fun, J2. Alright, so now the question is, can our weak line of tanks hold? Because the artillery is certainly continuing to do work. Busters killed a few units. That's probably about the best we could ask for from them. We've got the hammer dude engaged, so there will not be any more finished houses. We're just short a few tanks on the left. That might be OP. Because the artillery already feels pretty busted, and if we could just create our own defensive zone, I don't think you could lose. And we're still managing here. Like, this is working like a charm. Artillery sandwich meta. Now it's just a matter of getting up there and burning down the houses. But like I said, the problem is we end up with everybody's artillery living, but we're slowly running out of tanks. Like, I've only lost my monk, but you guys are placing 3 units around. They sure are, man. No. If it goes to time, whoever has the most units left wins. Which I've had happen before when we got into a fight with an invincible dude. Where he killed everything else, but we couldn't actually kill the invincible dude, and we still won. Sounds like a problem for future chat? It sure does. And I still see some tanks left. We've still got a few tanky units. And new viewers dropping by. They can provide the fodder, tanks. It'll be fine. All right, Cowboy with the kills, Techno with the assists. What do we want now? Our power grows. I want more artillery stuffed. I guess we go for the melee buff again. Yeah, no cooldown. No cooldown at all. So where are we going to build our artillery? Oh no, we know this one. We know this one and we know the way. We have to kill this archer. This archer is buffing their entire team. So, what are we going to do? We're going to build our sandwich, but it's going to be a carefully constructed sandwich with the idea of we're killing this archer. If we can kill this archer, we can win. So the sandwich goes here. Mages are almost as good as artillery here. So if you don't have your artillery left and you've got mages, that's great. But we need a row of tanks here / melee. And we need to make sure that the sandwich is well and truly defended. We could send a batch of rogues out to get them too, but this is a starting pattern for us. But this thing is like boosting the damage of all ranged units for the enemy. We got to kill this thing. If this guy dies, we can win. If this guy doesn't die, we're probably losing. So like mages are good, artillery's good, but let's make sure we got this tank area covered and that we've got some healers. All right, I need a quick potty break while we get this placed. I'll be right back with you. But make sure we got the tank slots, and you can use melee in these slots too, that's fine. But we got to take this dude out. We fought this map before, and this is the key. I'll be right back, folks. Our back line needs some work. There's 81 of us, though, so this may be all we get. I just want to make sure they don't run in and shoot us to death in the back. I think this is actually the way to beat this map, because we've tried it 2 other ways and it didn't work. Well, the problem is, until you kill this archer, they're just doing too much damage. This thing has to die. And we tried like doing it here, and it didn't. It barely worked on low level. You can use meat to revive a dead unit. At least it says you can. If you can't, let me know. That could be a bug. Okay, this is shaping up, and we've got the artillery/mage sandwich. I'm not sure that the other ranged units are quite as useful, but you know what? It's okay. It's not going to hurt to have them. Yeah, that's why I wanted to sandwich here, because I want as much stuff as possible to be shooting this dang thing. If we drop that fast, we're probably all right. If we don't, it'd be game over, man. We got 1 minute, and again, feel free to fill this area with melee units if you have them, and support units are certainly quite welcome as well. Yeah, rogues certainly wouldn't hurt. And, I mean, maybe even something like, well, it's too much range to be playing a buster. I don't think I would be playing busters here, but a rogue could be comprehensible at least. I feel like this may be the end of our run, because we have not had success on this map. But it is possible that the artillery sandwich was the way all along. Yeah, we've gotten pretty far, so it's not surprising that a lot of people have dead units. You were not able to revive dead units? I will put that on my list. This is definitely the hardest board we've played. God, can I just wait 30 seconds and then drop the high ground? I'm going to see if it'll let me. I probably shouldn't be able to do that. But it's what we need to progress. You were able to bring your tank back. How were you able to do it? All right. Cross your fingers, boys and girls. They're not killing the archer. We've got to kill the archer. Kill the archer. Archer down. Go, artillery spam, go. We have no tanks, just artillery. No! 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 Oh. We tried so hard, and we got so far. But in the end, we got to level 14, yo! Quite possibly further than anyone has gotten in this game so far. Lime and Wowski tried real hard. All right, so that's going to do it for the YouTube portion. YouTubers, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Again, this is a little different from the YouTube content that I traditionally upload, but with a new game mode and the exciting opportunity to alpha test it, I thought we just had to share this. So chat, say goodbye to YouTube, and we'll try one more run and then maybe a magic draft before we call it. With our new strategy of artillery sandwiches, we might even be able to get farther. All right, and YouTubers, come by the stream. It's at twitch.tv/Semulin.